Hi, my name is Joseph Parker, WBO champion of the world, and you're watching Sporting Icons.
So the war of words continues from Team Parker, and Joseph Parker gave a recent interview where he questioned whether or not Anthony Joshua was on steroids. And of course all opponents all seem to think that Anthony Joshua is on steroids, this, that and the other. Now Joseph Parker, he said, "They call me the king of pies, but I call him the king of steroids." The interviewer then said, "Are you accusing Anthony Joshua of taking steroids?" And he said, "No, I'm not accusing. I'm merely asking the question because his physique, you don't get that naturally in the gym." So this added to the fact that he calls him a glass jaw and many, many other things. And of course, there's like a lot of talk about whether or not Anthony Joshua is rattled or has Team Parker got under his skin. I say no. I don't believe that they have got under his skin. I know why that they're doing it. They're doing it to try and get under his skin. And it's all at the behest of David Higgins. David Higgins this is his way. This is his WWE way of trying to build up a fight. But David Higgins needs to remember now, this is not Hughie Fury on a YouTube fight. This is Anthony Joshua at the Principality Stadium, and it's going to sell out at 78,000. Maybe a bit more. Maybe they're going to squeeze a few more in this time. Who knows? So all the WWE tactics don't really seem to work. They don't look good, especially when you're pretty much admitting, I'm doing this to hype the fight. First of all, you don't admit that, which David Higgins did. Joseph Parker doing all this, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that Joseph Parker actually doesn't like Anthony Joshua. When you guys watch the footage of Kevin Barry and Anthony Joshua in the bar when they're watching the Anthony Joshua-Vladimir Klitschko fight, first time when Klitschko went down, Kevin Barry was jumping up screaming, it's like, yes, come on AJ, and Joseph Parker didn't look too impressed. Then when Joshua gets knocked down, Kevin Barry's, he didn't look impressed, but Joseph Parker's like, yes, come on. Then, of course, Vladimir Klitschko gets knocked down a couple of times later in round number 11 and stops it. Again, Kevin Barry is jumping up and down, all excited. Anthony Joshua managed to do this to a legend like Vladimir Klitschko, and Joseph Parker looks a little bit pissed off. So I think from there is a rivalry, that's for sure. They're both coming pro around about the same time. Joseph Parker's on 24 fights, I believe, and Anthony Joshua on 20. So their careers are running alongside each other, and it was always going to be inevitable that these two were going to fight at one time or another. Now, these guys were almost supposed to fought maybe a year or so ago, because Joseph Parker was the IBF mandatory just after Anthony Joshua won the IBF title. But of course, Joseph Parker opted to go for the WBO against Andy Ruiz Jr., which is absolutely fair enough. And he won that and became world champion. His performances haven't been great since then, but there's something about Joseph Parker, and that is his rugged toughness. This boy can take a punch. You can hit him as hard as you possibly can, and he will keep on coming. Now, it's fair to say, this is one punch. So if you hit him hard, he'll keep on coming. But he's never been hit by a barrage of punches where each one of them hurt by both hands. And that's exactly what Anthony Joshua does. Joshua is not a one-punch knockout artist. He doesn't hit you once and you go to sleep. He needs to hit you a couple of times. The left hand hurts. The right hand hurts. So it doesn't matter what hand he hits you with, you're going to feel it. And ultimately, your lights are starting to dim by each one. So can Joseph Parker take a barrage of punches? And that's exactly what Anthony Joshua is going to try and do to him. Now, even Eddie Hearn, he's saying that Team Parker have got under Anthony Joshua's skin. Anthony Joshua is saying, I'm not even going to shake his hand after I beat him. This is all psychological warfare from both parts. Team Parker calling him glass jaw and this, that and the other, thinking that it's really going to get under his skin. Anthony Joshua, in my opinion, of course, is playing up to this. He's acting as if he is under his skin. So it gives them a sense of false security, if that could be the right term to use. But really, he's not rattled. far worse things have been said about Anthony Joshua in the past that doesn't really seem to have rattled him. The only person to have really rattled him was Dillian Whyte. And of course, he let his emotions get in the way, and you could see how that fight was playing out. And if Dillian had not been injured in that fight, who knows, Anthony Joshua may not be undefeated as of right now. But of course, that's pure speculation, of course. But is Anthony Joshua really rattled by Joseph Parker? No. Anthony Joshua wanted this fight. Joseph Parker wanted this fight. 20 fights for Joshua, 24 fights for Parker. And they are unifying. They're not just talking the talk, they're walking the walk. Unlike another champion who talks the talk but has yet to walk the walk. So he talks about unifying, while these two actually are unifying for the second time for Anthony Joshua, of course. Now, this is a very, very interesting fight as to who wins. It's a flip 'em, really. For me, I can understand why Anthony Joshua is the favourite, and I do actually pick Anthony Joshua to beat Joseph Parker, and I expect him to beat him on points. And I do expect it. The longer the fight goes, the more chance there is that Joseph Parker is going to hit the deck. We've seen Joseph Parker on the back foot quite a few times, namely against Andy Ruiz Jr. and of course Carlos Takam. And he took some pretty big punches, neither one of which hit as hard as Anthony Joshua. But of course these guys brawl. Anthony Joshua is not a brawler. He will hit you from range. He's not really a true inside fighter. If you can use that term, he's not a true inside fighter. He will hit you from range, and he will hit you from either hand, and either hand has the ability to put you on the back foot and definitely make you unsteady. So, very interesting fight. But of course, with Joseph Parker saying that they can call me the King of Pies. Of course, this came from the Graham Norton show that Anthony Joshua was on. But he calls him King of Steroids, but it's like he says, he's not accusing him, he's merely asking the question. In other words, that's another little dig at Anthony Joshua. How will Tuesday's press conference go? We'll have to wait and see. I'm fully expecting David Higgins to be quite animated, whereas Joseph Parker to do this is very, very out of character. I don't expect Joseph Parker to do too much of this now. The fight's signed. Of course, you had Team Fury. They were doing this to Joseph Parker last time he was over here. Of course, that was his last fight, which he won on points over in Manchester to retain his title. And he was very humble. He was very laid back. Hughie Fury was trying to do the smack talk, and Joseph Parker just wasn't biting. And he came across as very, very respectful. And as I hear, Joseph Parker is like that anyway. He respects everybody. He doesn't have a bad bone in his body. And this is purely hype, and that's pretty much what he has said as well, that if Anthony Joshua is truly rattled, then he really shouldn't be in the game, because this is part and parcel of it. But we don't really see Joseph Parker doing this before. So if I had to choose one who is probably rattled, I think it might be Joseph Parker. Even though Joseph Parker is as cool as a cucumber, I don't believe that he is rattled, but if either one of them are, I believe it's probably Joseph Parker, because he's the one doing all the verbal talking. Team Parker are the ones who are coming across almost quite desperate to try and get under Anthony Joshua's skin, because they're not confident in beating him any other way. But again, that's just speculation, I don't know. But it's a very interesting fight, and I can't wait for it. And this will be on March the 31st at the Principality Stadium over in Cardiff, Wales, which is the same setting for when Anthony Joshua defeated Carlos Takam. And of course, Anthony Joshua, he's quite upset of how that fight ended, as well as a lot of the fans are. So on this fight, he's going to want a decisive stoppage. But for me, I can see this going to points, and I can see Anthony Joshua winning on points. Of course, I can see other scenarios as well, but this is the one that I'm sticking to as of right now. I might change my mind a little bit closer to the time. But right now, I believe that Anthony Joshua will beat Joseph Parker on points. And I do expect Joseph Parker, for the first time in his career, to hit the canvas. I don't expect him to stay there, but I do expect him to hit the canvas at some point in this fight. Maybe 2 or 3 times, who knows? And it wouldn't surprise me also if Anthony Joshua also touched the canvas in this fight as well, because Joseph Parker does carry a lot more power than what we've seen in his last couple of fights. So anyway, drop your thoughts below as to how you think these psychological warfares are going between Anthony Joshua and Joseph Parker. Is Anthony Joshua legitimately rattled? Has Joseph Parker got under his skin? And if he has, is this going to work in the advantage of Joseph Parker, or will it just make Anthony Joshua a bit more mad to put a bit more venom in his punches to hurt Joseph Parker? Drop your thoughts below, click the thumbs up, subscribe, catch you next video.